Hey guys, Whitney here. Welcome to another edition of the Ash Wealth Show. I just want to make sure I'm recording here. So, all right, I am recording. Woohoo! Okay, cool. So, anyways, welcome to the Ash Wealth Show. I do this weekly show for you guys. For you people that are trying to buy real estate, maybe you've gotten stuck in analysis paralysis mode, lost your confidence, or maybe you actually have a few rentals under your belt and you've hit a ceiling of growth, or you're just so overwhelmed by all the information out there that you're just plain stuck. You see, you're in the right spot if you've never invested in real estate before, if you have a few rentals under your belt. This webinar is for you. So if we haven't met already, this is me and my crazy crew. This is the reason why I invest in real estate. My husband and I invest in real estate so we can actually spend more time traveling the world and spending it with our family. I'm recording this in the middle of the COVID pandemic, and so it's been actually a different experience for us, because we'd rather be traveling, of course, but just getting to spend the time at home supporting each other, our family, and not having to worry about income because it's all coming in passively. Okay, but it wasn't always this way. You see, I started off living, flipping, and house hacking, and my husband joined me a few years later. And it took us a few years to realize what we needed coming in our lives was stable, consistent cash flow, something that came on a regular clockwork basis. That was what was going to allow us to buy back our time. Okay, and this is what I love teaching you guys how to do, is create that stable cash flow for yourself, but also invest in assets that are going to appreciate over time. And so this is just, again, this is, a few things that my husband and I have been able to achieve in our portfolio. Okay. But don't despair about this, because really it was these first 30 investment properties, learning how to use other people's money. That is where the rubber met the road. Okay. It's like an iceberg, right? The tip of the iceberg that's popping out of the water, that is not the bulk of the iceberg. Okay, the bulk of our work was actually achieving these first 30 burrs, and we did that while working and taking care of our family. So I know you can do this too. All right, but you could be anywhere today. So what makes what I'm going to share today so different? Okay, so what I'm sharing today is a sneak peek into a part of the culmination of 18 years of investing. And over this 18 years of investing, I've discovered 3 things that you have to have in order to be a successful real estate investor. Okay, there is no way to avoid this if you want to have this financial and time growth, time control that you desire. You have to have an investing roadmap that's going to get you to financial independence. Guys, so many investors I work with, this is the first step that they're missing. They got into real estate, maybe they even got up to 14, 15, 16 properties, but they didn't have a roadmap, they didn't have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, any action you take will get you where you're supposed to be. Okay, so let's define what that roadmap is, right? You have to have the right repeatable systems, and they have to be simple. And you have to have the right team to execute these systems. If you don't have this, guess what? You're going to be self-employed. You will be running your real estate portfolio will be running you. You will not be running your real estate portfolio. I don't know about you. I got into real estate investing to get my time back, not to have another job. All right. And if you want to scale, okay, if you want to get bigger, all right, you have to learn how to use other people's money to accelerate your wealth build. And you have to know how to do this safely. Okay. Now, there are no trophies, there are no rewards for you using all of your own cash and buying properties all in cash with no leverage. Okay. So if you're wanting to have some sort of scale, let's talk about how to get you scaling and achieving financial independence faster. Leverage can actually help you reach your goals faster. All right. But the biggest result out of all of this is that I now have 100% choice in my time. And I know if you're here, I know you want this as well. So let's start getting down to brass tacks today and talking about our subject at hand. And that is, how can our mindset make or break our investing? Okay. Now, you might be scratching your head here and going, oh my gosh, like how does this tie to the first three things that you told me about? Having a plan, having the systems and the right people, and then scaling. Guys, your mindset is the foundation for your investing plan. Okay, think of it this way. Your mindset is an operating software in your big, beautiful brain, the supercomputer that we carry around with ourselves all the time, your brain. If you're not running the right operating software, or outdated operating software, you're not gonna see the success you want to see. Okay, so not only do you have to work on your real estate, you have to work on yourself. So let's talk about this. Okay, so let's first define a couple of things: fixed versus a growth mindset. Now, I think we have to demystify something here before we move forward. Okay, the mindset that you currently have is operational software that was installed years ago. Okay, if you're struggling with your mindset, that is because it was installed years ago. It's a culmination of all of your experiences from childhood to now, your beliefs that your parents held, your family held, whoever raised you held. It's a culmination of like the beliefs that you were taught in school, in the workplace. Okay, and so that, like I said, this is simple to reinstall new software, but it's not exactly easy. So let's talk about this. So a fixed mindset, this is on one side of the continuum, okay, far left. A fixed mindset tells us that your skills and being are just not malleable. You are who you are, you were born with it. And, there's really no point in striving for more because it's not worth it. You were born with it, you can't be anything more, okay? Now, having a growth mindset is the exact opposite. It's on the polar right-hand side of the scale. In a fixed mindset, our brain is beautiful. It's plastic, okay? It can evolve and change. It's malleable. Your effort and energy are rewarded with growth, okay? And you're also limitless, okay? How many people here on this webinar can actually say they feel like they're limitless, okay? Probably not many. Now, this isn't a dichotomy. You're not in a fixed mindset and you're not in a growth mindset. You're probably somewhere on a continuum between the two. And it can even be situational. Maybe like you have a certain situation in your life. For me, like if I try to play golf, oh my gosh, I am in such a fixed mindset. Like I am not a golfer. That I was not born to have a club in my hand. I get very stagnant and stuck. But if you put a soccer ball at my feet, wow, I love it. Teach me more. I know that I'm limitless in my construct. Okay, so this can even be situational. Okay, so the whole point is for us to have a growth mindset in as many places as we possibly can. And when we do butt up against a situation that makes us have a fixed mindset, or where we notice that, how can we start asking the right questions and break through to a growth mindset? Okay. Now, again, remember, I said this was a continuum. We also have this thing called a false growth mindset. Okay. And there's two things to a false growth mindset. When you're in a false growth mindset, and usually this happens when somebody's trying to transition from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, they start praising themselves for ineffective effort, okay? They're saying things to themselves, well, at least I tried, right? Or, at least I listened to 10 podcasts this week, or at least I read 5 books, this month. But they are praising themselves for an action that achieves no results, okay? Now, when you're starting off in real estate, yeah, you gotta have an educational component, okay? I'm not knocking that, but as soon as you start getting some education under your belt, you have to start moving forward into results-oriented beliefs, okay? How many deals are you looking at? How many are you making offers on? How many are you analyzing? How many are you closing? Like, those are the metrics by which you're going to grow your portfolio. You're not going to grow your portfolio by the number of books you read, okay? The other half of a false growth mindset is, having positive thinking with no accountability, okay? You give yourself a reward for success for something that just wasn't effective, right? Like you pat yourself on the back for listening to 10 podcasts this week, but if you didn't act on the information, like what was that even for? Okay. You pat yourself on the back if you're still a year into your investing career and you haven't made one offer on the property. Okay. But you're looking at deals. All right. Again, the false growth mindset, okay, is I don't think anybody intentionally means to be here. They just are mistaking action for results. Okay. All right. And that's really where you can work with a coach or a mentor to help you understand the difference between the two, between taking, just actions and being busy and actually achieving results. Okay. Now, so we talked about our fixed mindset, our growth mindset. Let's talk about who shows up when we get ourselves in a situation where we have to make a tough decision, or we're kind of stressed and we're stretched and we have to actually figure out how to operate in a growth mindset. And these are our saboteurs. We would love to think that our highest and best self shows up all the time, okay? It's just simply not true, okay? Remember, we have old programming. Think of these saboteurs as like the little viruses in the programming. They're little hackers that creep in, okay? So how can we name these little guys and not let them take over when we have a tough decision to make or we get in a really stressful situation? Okay, so I'll just run down these really fast. Okay, we got the judge. Like, are you super critical of people? Are you constantly judging them for for various things that they can't control? Okay, maybe you're judging yourself. Even worse. The victim. Okay, this person is they're never at fault. Right? Something goes wrong in their life, they're the victim. It's never their fault. Okay, guys, people are victimized all the time. You have been victimized, I'm sure. Okay, but being victimized is different than being the victim. Okay, we want to get out of that unhealthy relationship of whatever horrible thing or tragic thing has happened. Okay. If you need some inspiration about that around this, if this is one of your saboteurs, read the book, Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. This man was he's a psychologist, and he went through World War II in a Nazi concentration camp. Nearly all of his friends and family died or were murdered in front of him. His mindset and the amount of love he has in his heart is just immense. Okay. So again, horribly victimized person, but he never viewed himself as the victim. Okay. Read that book. The pleaser. Okay. And the pleaser is somebody who's like always making sure everybody else is okay, but forgets to figure out where they fit in the equation and sometimes puts them below everybody else. Okay. I'm guilty of this. That was like one of my previous saboteurs, trying to make sure everybody else is okay, that everybody else is harmonious. But what you end up is what we call disingenuous harmony. Everybody else might be okay, but if you're not okay, you have disingenuous harmony. All right. Then you got the avoider. I think this one's pretty straightforward. Going gets rough. What happens? These guys get out. They're ostriches. They either put their head under the sand or they get out. They just don't even tackle what's going on. All right. Then you got the perfectionist. This is the person that has to have all I's dotted, T's crossed. Their expectations are so high for themselves. Okay. That it is, they just have very unrealistic expectations for themselves. Okay. They have no grace for themselves. Then you got the restlesser. This is another one of my universal saboteurs. The restlesser, as I call it, this is a person who just always has to be doing something. Okay, downtime is not their friend. They don't know how to rest and relax. They're always wanting to go on and get more. Okay, let's not confuse them with the hyperachiever. We'll get to the hyperachiever in a second, but they're always continuing to push forward. What's the next step in the plan? Okay, they just can't take a breath on where they're at. Then you get the controller. The controller is the person that is like, I can do everything better than everybody else, so I'm just going to do it. Okay. These are, again, they also have unrealistic expectations of others, okay, not just of themselves, but others, okay? Then we got the hyperachiever. The hyperachiever is somebody who just sets a goal to sets a goal because they want it, they're in competition with themselves, okay? They just want to achieve a goal to achieve a goal. Like, I bought a 4 unit, now I think I'm going to do a 16 just cuz, right? They ignore their investing plan, okay? These guys tend to say yes to things they should not be saying yes to because it doesn't fit who they are in their investing plan. Number 9, the hyper rational. These guys can talk themselves into, or excuse me, in out of almost anything for for a variety of reasons. There's always an issue with whatever decisions being put in front of them. They can hyper rationalize things and just not take action. Then you got the hyper vigilant person. These guys are micromanagers. They're always so vigilant. They're kind of a combination. Number 5, the perfectionist, and the number 7, the controller. They've got such unrealistic expectations of themselves and in others that they're always setting everybody up and themselves for failure. Okay. So again, the whole point of this is not to kill your saboteurs. It's to name them and understand who's showing up. All right. So take a few minutes and take a screenshot of this slide and jot down who your saboteurs are. Okay. Let's name them. Write them down on a sticky note. Put it in your journal. Put it next to your computer. And when you get in a tough decision-making model and you're just like, oh, I can't show up, or I can't move forward, I'm stuck, what's going on here? Or you're in a stressful situation and you just kind of feel this like, oh, I'm moving from a growth to a fixed mindset. Okay, let's take a look. Which of these ugly little viruses in our operating system are showing up? Okay, these are the residual of our old mindset operating system. Okay, and it's not that we have to get rid of them. Okay, we just need to identify them and name them super fast so we can deal with them. Okay. Now let's talk about the 8 traps of moving from a fixed to a growth mindset, okay? Because it's where these traps tend to, these 8 common traps, these are where the saboteurs generally will show up. So we can't exactly get rid of our saboteurs, but we can identify these traps and start working on these traps and close them so the saboteurs don't show up nearly as often, okay? So what are the 8 traps? Number 1, failing to take extreme ownership of the situation that you're in or your life, okay? There's a great book called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. He also wrote another book called Way of the Warrior Kid, if you have kids. Taking total ownership isn't about not having, not being victimized or not being in a situation where somebody else is at fault. It's just owning that you have DNA in that situation and you could have made a different choice. That's it. Okay, we all have choices. Okay, case in point, I'm going through an issue right now on a property where there was a title issue, and I'm trying to sell the property. It's delayed closing by a day or two. Now, it was not my fault that the title issue was there. However, I am taking extreme ownership of the situation because I should have followed up. I could have followed up. I could, from the last refinance and made sure that that title issue was actually cleared and taken care of. I could have researched that title issue and made sure it was cleared and taken care of before listing the property and not have been in this situation. Okay. Again, it's my choice. When I do that, I take ownership and I am not the victim. I still may have been victimized, but I am not the victim. All right. This also feeds into number 2, desiring to be off the hook or not at fault. If I don't take extreme ownership, yeah, then I can point fingers, but that again puts me in a victim kind of mentality. I've been victimized and I'm the victim. Okay, all these other saboteurs now start showing up, right? Like the perfectionist and the controller. Maybe you're being a little bit judgmental now because you don't trust your team. Okay, this is let's close that number 2, close that trap by again taking extreme ownership in not desiring to be off the hook or not at fault. Okay, we will do things in our investing career where we're totally at fault, guarantee it. Okay, it's like I was having my driveway replaced a few years ago, and I was looking for somebody to tell me that the driveway would never crack. I wanted to guarantee it would crack, and it was the most hilarious situation. And at the same time, I finally realized, I was talking to one gentleman. I'm like, can you guarantee this won't crack? For how long? 5 years, 10 years? And he just looked at me and goes, I guarantee it's going to crack. There will be a crack. He was just like, are you okay with that? He goes, I will try to put in all these other, do all these other things so it doesn't crack for as long. Or if it cracks in the right place. But I guarantee it's going to crack. Okay, guys, you're going to do stuff that is going to be your fault. Again, take extreme ownership. Okay, just don't desire to be let off the hook. Okay. All right. Number 3, focusing on, this is another trap, when people focus on why something isn't possible. Okay. They put themselves in the wrong mindset. Okay. If something, you hit a tough spot, you're like, man, this isn't achievable. Well, there's no way I can like put in a contract on a 16 unit. I don't even know how to do that. I don't know the first step about lending. Okay. You could talk to yourself that way, or you'd be like, I would love to put in an offer on a 16 unit. I don't know how to do that yet. I still need to talk to lenders, and I don't know what lenders to talk to yet. You guys hearing the word there? You don't know how to do it, but the key word is yet. You move yourself from a fixed mindset to a learner mindset, on that growth to being a path of being in the growth mindset. Okay. So, when you hit a situation that you're just totally stuck and you're just like, man, this is not achievable. I don't know how to do this. Put the words yet after there, and it'll switch your mindset. Okay. And keep those saboteurs at bay. All right. Number 4, failing to find a yes. All right, this is one of my favorites. It's tied to number 3. Again, when you hit like a huge decision or a, like a stressful situation, how can you instead of saying I can't or I don't know how to, how about you like ask, well, how can I? Right? And if you don't know how, if you don't have that answer, maybe you're missing a person or a tool. Okay. If I don't know how can I do it? Who does? Who knows? Okay. And go find, this is where mentors and coaches come in. They're so valuable at helping you guys move again from an impossible situation to a possible situation and help you find that yes in that path to move forward. I love the story of Henry Ford, who, and forgive me, I'm going to butcher the story a little bit, but he was being, he had people in his office, and he had this huge phone with a bunch of buttons on it, and these guys were kind of hoity-toity guys, I believe, from another company, and they were asking him questions, and he constantly picked up the phone and hit a button to get the question answered. And the exec that was in the office was pretty offended. They're like, well, why are you always picking up the phone? Don't you know that answer? Don't you know your business? And he goes, I'm in business because I have smart people underneath me that I work with who know the answer. Okay, so surround yourself. Again, number 4, failing to find a yes, surround yourself with people who know these answers. Number 5, attributing agency to difficulty. Okay, just because something is difficult doesn't mean that you can't figure out a path forward. Okay, so again, watch your mindset around this. Okay, you in any situation you can take total agency and total control and figure out the answer. Number 6, accepting your psychological immune system. This is another fancy way of saying accepting your current resilience pattern. Okay, if you aren't very resilient, if your skin isn't that tough yet, if you case in point, if you're scared about making offers because you don't want to hear the word no, then don't accept that. What we need to do is put you in incrementally harder and more difficult situations so you can build up your psychological immune system. Guys, I complete disclosure here, I used to hate speaking in front of people. Yet I continue to put myself in harder and harder situations, eventually speaking in front of groups of thousands of people. And you know what? It allowed me to bring forth one of my, most precious contributions in the world, which is educating. Okay. If I had let that fear of not being able to get up in front of a group of people and talk and worry about if I was going to stumble over my words or explain something clearly enough, I never would have been able to be in front of you guys today to actually help bring you this information. Okay, so again, I got there by toughening up my psychological immune system. All right, number 7, this trap, building your self-esteem around being right. Okay, guys, we have to unlock our self-esteem, our self-worth. We have to detach it around always being right. You're not always going to have the answers in your real estate investing career, guaranteed. Okay, you shouldn't. Okay, you should be surrounding yourself with knowledgeable people who do have the right answer. Okay, even if you're getting into business, you don't have to have all the answers. You need to find the person who does. Okay, but let's detach it from the need from being right. Okay, that again will keep you in a fixed mindset and not growing and moving to your limitless possibilities. Number 8, lacking self-awareness. What all of these traps have in common is generally it's somebody not being self-aware of where they are at. Okay, again, we've walked you through what a fixed mindset is and a growth mindset, what a false growth mindset looks like. We've introduced you to the 10 possible saboteurs, the glitches in your operating system that even when we start installing this new mindset operating system, those glitches still might show up. When you become more self-aware of who you are and where these saboteurs are and where your traps are, okay, now you can actually start closing those traps. If you never do that internal work, if you never sit quietly and meditate or do moving meditation, you will never know where these traps are and you'll never be able to move forward. Okay, but again, that's why you're here today. So thank you so much for spending your time with me on this. All right, we've covered a ton of information today. And so if you're here just for the information, that's awesome. Hopefully you found this time, it's time well spent. Okay. And my question to you is if you want help with this, okay, if you want help with this, I've got a solution to share with you. And that is we have our Investor Accelerator Mastermind and group coaching open. And so let me show you who this is for. This is for somebody who's just starting out in real estate, doing this on the side, hasn't done a deal, or if you're more of a seasoned investor with a few deals under your belt and you want to move forward to doing this more full time. Okay, this Investor Accelerator is like having your 3-legged stool to sit on. Okay, if you are missing any one of these legs, education, group and community, and accountability, that stool is going to fall over. Okay, most investors who aren't succeeding and moving forward, they're missing one of those legs of the stool, the proper education, or they don't have a community that they can lean on, and they don't have the accountability in their life to hold themselves to their goals. Okay, this has it all. So you guys can read here. We've got our educational part of our course. We have the group community, part of our mastermind. We meet twice a month. Okay, one time for a business strategy and growth and accountability session. Okay, doing that very important financial and investing planning, setting up those systems, and setting that strategy so you can move forward, and we're holding you accountable to it. Then we meet a second time, okay, again, to check on our strategy and growth, but also to introduce experts into your investing network that can help you rapidly expand your network and investing knowledge, okay? We also meet once a week. These are kind of optional sessions, but I call them hackathon sessions, okay? This is where we're busting through obstacles and keeping you moving forward in between sessions, okay? But remember, I was talking about that false growth and mindset. So many investors that I work with come to me with this kind of false growth and mindset. They're like, yeah, I've read all the books, I read all the podcasts, I got my LLC set up, I've got my accountant. Well, that's great. Those are all things that need to happen, but the rubber isn't hitting the road yet. So I help you close that gap by providing you all my systems, tools, and checklist scripts, data, all these things that help you shortcut your path to success so you can get down to the tangible strategy, growth, and accountability that you need. Now, if this sounds interesting, we have the group coaching and mastermind option. We can also work one-on-one with people. But regardless, if you're interested in more information, if you'd like to meet and make sure that this program's right for you, motor on over to ashwealth.com/apply. And thank you so much for spending your most powerful and precious resource with me today, and that is your time.